Welcome everyone. I'm Zoe Buckingham, an international marketing consultant with a background in diverse private and public sector projects. I would like to welcome you all today to The Future of Finance, How the Next Generation Builds Tomorrow, with Darragh McCarthy, CEO and founder of Fintru. It's an absolute pleasure to see you here today, Darragh. Thank you for dialing in from London today, I believe. So this is me. I've told you a little bit about me. I'm here to listen, obviously, to Darragh's interesting presentation and to ask questions of Darragh from the audience. I'd like to thank our sponsors who are so generous and allow us to range widely and freely across technology, economics and finance and a variety of other topics that loosely relate to finance and banking and the city. So looking at the agenda today, you've heard from me, which is all out of the way now. Darragh is going to be talking now, and he is the Chief Executive and founder of Fintru. And I've got a very interesting presentation ahead. And then we'll be moving into Q&A, and that's where we'd like to hear from you. So please put your questions in the question box, which you'll find in the GoToWebinar navigation. We really enjoy your questions from the floor. They really make all our events so interesting. And so thank you very much, Darragh. So a little bit more about Darragh. Darragh is the Chief Executive and founder of Fintru, a multi-award winning RegTech company specializing in know your customer, compliance, legal, risk and controls, and operations. So an incredibly wide amount of diverse experience. His company, Fintru, has a strong belief in social purpose to create high-quality professional employment. We'll see today how this manifests itself in a holistic approach to developing future leaders. So just some last notes before we get started. The slides are available to download in the chat and on the website. And obviously, I've mentioned the Q&A session, which is very helpful. So do put your questions in that. And also there's a chat facility, so you can sort of use that too. I will feed those questions to Darragh, and I look forward to hearing from you all. So without further ado, Darragh, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for joining us.
Great, thank you very much, Zoe, for the kind words. Hello and welcome, everyone. As Zoe mentioned, my name is Darragh McCarthy, founder and CEO of Fintru, which is a RegTech company based in Northern Ireland with offices in London, Dublin, Maastricht, and New York. I worked for Morgan Stanley for just under 20 years and actually left in 2012 with the belief that I was going to, I guess, enjoy retirement at the beach and take it easy. But at that time, I was involved with an initiative in Ireland called the Global Irish Economic Forum, the idea of which was to leverage Irish diaspora globally to help Ireland recover in the aftermath of the financial crisis. You may remember that Ireland was pretty much, it was called a pig country at the time, with Portugal, Ireland, Italy, Greece, and Spain. And Ireland really was struggling financially. And it quickly became clear to me that there was a lack of graduate entry-level employment opportunities at the time. So I decided to set up Fintru, as Zoe mentioned, to create high-quality employment for the next generation on the island of Ireland. As already mentioned, Fintru is headquartered in Northern Ireland, which as part of the UK allows Fintru leverage the City of London infrastructure. I guess fast forward to 8 years later, Fintru now has over 1,000 employees and works with the largest investment banks globally. This is thanks to everyone's hard work, training and expertise, but it owes an awful lot to the younger generation, one that I'm confident will look after this business long after I am gone. So I would like to talk about them, the next generation, and how Fintru invests in them to build tomorrow. As part of my presentation, I will focus on how and who we hire, namely graduates and placement students. I will also talk about once employees work for Fintru, how we then focus heavily on their continuous professional development, their CPD, via investments in learning and development, as professional development is very important to the next generation. I will also reference the importance of Fintru's values, which actually were designed by our employees, the role the committees play at Fintru, and the ensuing success Fintru has garnered through winning awards. So I think as part of the starting thing, we probably would like to start with a quick poll, which is namely, what percentage of millennials would consider staying in a job for 5 years? So I'll leave you all answer that. And
That's an interesting one, Darragh, because I guess we've heard all sorts of different things about millennials and the way they kind of think about their careers, haven't we?
Yeah, and I'm not a millennial, Zoe. So for me, it's definitely learning a new world, and I think, but unfortunately or fortunately for companies that can embrace how to harness the talent of these millennials and understand what matters to them and how committed they are to jobs and what you need to do to make them work for you, I think is crucial.
Absolutely.
Great. So,
Oh,
I'm delighted to see that I think the vast majority of you got it right. Well, if there is such a thing as right, so clearly it doesn't surprise any of you watching this webinar, but 28% as an answer suggests that a large percentage of millennials don't envisage an employer being able to fulfill their needs for long enough. This is something that all companies need to address as a matter of priority if they're to succeed in the long term, because we need to ensure that when a younger person joins a company, they see a career ahead. So I think really, given how important that is, I think probably then we want to focus on why do we want to invest in the next generation. So if you look at why invest in the next generation, it is evident from the previous poll that companies need to invest in the next generation if they want to keep the employees. So then the question is why and what are the advantages? So I think there are several advantages of investing in the next generation. First and foremost, I think development. I think if you look at they are super keen to learn, absorb information, training, and I think everyone who we spoke earlier about their desire for learning and development. Everything we do today is new. We need new skills. We need to do it. The next thing is it's quite subtle, but affordability. It actually costs less to hire less experienced people, and obviously if you can train them up. The third reason is really, I guess, their technological affability. I think people have grown up in the world of tech. Tech is second nature to them. If you look at when I was growing up, we didn't really have smartphones. We had, old-fashioned landlines. Everyone today has obviously, the newest generation smartphone. So, and with all their apps, adaptability. Clearly, they haven't yet formed habitual responsive situations. There's a far more greater degree of flexibility. And finally, last but not least, I think really there is an energy about the next generation and a perspective where they are eager to learn and impress. And I think if we can somehow harness this enthusiasm and energy. So I think really the combination of all these factors between the desire for development, the affordability, the affinity with technology, the adaptability and energy and perspective are five crucial reasons why it is important to invest in the next generation. So then I guess the next thing to ask our question is, how do we actually attract the next generation to come and work for a company? So Fintru actually runs what is called the Academy process. And at Fintru, we work with the Department of the Economy in Northern Ireland as part of the Assured Skills Programme, which actually the Department of the Economy in Northern Ireland actually emulated a program that was run in the state of North Carolina, similar program, where we take graduates from any degree discipline, because we genuinely are very open and we believe we can retrain people. We want them to have a minimum 2-2 degree, and then we upskill them for the workplace in partnership with Queen's University Belfast, Ulster University, Belfast Metropolitan College and Northwest Regional College, which are the latter two are of the higher education colleges in Northern Ireland. Fintru staff also deliver market relevant training, which is complemented by certification from the CISI, which we're delighted to say many of our employees do the IOC exams. And at the end of the academy, successful candidates join Fintru for a career. And I'm delighted to say that over 95% of all Fintru Academy attendees gain full-time employment with Fintru following their respective academies. And we couldn't have been more delighted and excited about, I think, what the Academy process has done to really allow us tap into this next generation. I think we talk about how crucial it is for companies. Then if I look at how many academies we run per annum, because obviously we've talked through the process. So as the next slide, I'll hopefully be able to show. So every year we run 8 to 9 academies. Each academy tends to last 4 to 6 weeks, and we call it pre-employment training academy. And then I'm delighted to say that since 2014, we've had over 642 employees join Fintru to our academy. And in the background there, you actually have a photo of our Innovation Hub, which is a new training space we've just recently acquired in Belfast, which actually is the old Meter House. for the gasworks in Belfast. For those who've been in Belfast, the profits of this meter house actually paid for the building of Belfast City Hall in 1902. So I'm delighted to see that this actually is an old industry supporting the new industry, innovation, supporting of young people, training for the future in the 21st century. So obviously we've talked now about the academy process. We've talked about bringing people into the company. So then the next thing we really focus on is a career path, and I think it is essential, and Fintru is very clear on this, that all entry-level graduates, so analysts, have a very clear career path ahead of them, and this is shown to all academy recruits from early in their Fintru careers. It creates, and why this is so important to me, is it creates an instant sense of security within the company and encourage them to invest in themselves. We actively talk about our push and pull approach, and what I mean by the push and pull approach is every analyst one wants to become an analyst two, and every analyst two wants to pull along an analyst one behind them, in the same way right up to associate, right up to managing director, right up to me as CEO. I'm ready to be pushed aside by the next generation, so whenever you're ready, please keep on pushing and I'll happily pull you along. And that's something that actually I learned from my career at Morgan Stanley, and I think it's very important that culture is supportive, and we create the space for them to grow, but also pulling someone along to assume their levels of responsibilities. And as we can see, this clearly laid out path sets out confirmed goals that can be achieved through a career. There are no barriers to progression. It is very important. There are no barriers. Obviously, we have set guardrails and we have set expected time in grades, because obviously we do need to, there's a certain passage of time, but really this is down to individuals' growing experience and performance, and we make sure that this is open for everyone. And I'm delighted to say that we have actively progressed people all through the ranks since they've joined Fintru, and I think this is very important that people have a very clear career path to set them on the road. Then, in addition to our academy program, we also hire placements. Graduates we primarily bring in through our academy process we mentioned, but placements, we work in close partnership with Queen's University Belfast and Ulster University, the two main universities in Northern Ireland, to deliver a one-year placement program. And as undergraduates, students join Fintru for a year-long process. The program focuses on, first and foremost, an introduction to financial services. We are a financial services company, so it's very important that they learn about financial services. It's very important that they are taught how to learn. So we have a blended learning skills of both kind of on the job, but also classroom. We work to develop knowledge at a tailored pace. We respect that people need a certain amount of time. There's very clear learning objectives. There's instructional business goals that need to be fulfilled. And then at the end of the placement program, we have a postgraduate offer. And so upon successful completion of the placement, a contract will be made to the placement student, inviting them to return to Fintru actually as a second-year analyst, not a first-year analyst, so they get full professional credit for their year's placement student. So it also provides huge advantages for them when they go back to university on the skills they've learned. And I'm delighted to say that in 2021, 96% of placements were offered a future place at Fintru to come back as analysts too. So it's been a great success for us, and we're delighted to have been able to support it. And I think, again, it's a continued source of talent for us as we look to attract, in essence, the next generation to come and join us. Then if I talk about, so we have now mentioned the academy process, how we bring in graduates. We've mentioned the placement process, and they come back as analyst twos. Now it's really about they're in the building, and what do we do with regards to learning and development? One of the things I mentioned earlier is the next generation is very open to learning and development. They're very malleable, approachable, but also they are like sponges to improve themselves, and we want them to be improved. So at Fintru, we drive a culture of meritocracy. We invest heavily in the encouragement of self-development, which of course develops both the individual but also the business. And investing in the next generation is not simply a case of offering them a job, it is a career. And we have a commitment to continue to train them, excite them, and ultimately develop them. And whether they want to develop their skills as a subject matter expert, and some of our people want to become highly technically proficient, or a people manager, we are invested in helping them through their professional development journey. And their professional development journey, look, is kind of broadly put out here with regards to their formal training. So they want to strengthen existing knowledge. Some people have, maybe they have studied university or they have some previous experience. We really want to build on that. We want to acquire new skills. It's very important they gain practical experience. I'm delighted to say that Fintru has actually a number of in-house dedicated product trainers. So we have a learning and development function, which has full-time learning and development. We actually have a big managing at Fintru program on actually at Fintru today. I think 37 managers are on that program because actually I spoke on it earlier this morning. But also within our products, we have dedicated know your customer, technology, compliance, and legal trainers who will work full-time with our employees to really give them the skill sets that they want. I'm glad to say we work with a number of accredited qualifications. I mentioned earlier CISI. We also work with ICA. We also work with ISDA for some legal qualifications. So I think it's very important as well that people are given opportunity to get accredited qualifications because everyone likes to have a piece of paper to demonstrate that they've learned. And then we have a number of internal training programs as well. And I think by offering the relevant accredited qualifications from the professional bodies mentioned, we not only help the individuals to develop, but it instills a confidence in our clients that we offer a first-class service. And I think it's been helped both our employees, but also many of our clients to gain a great confidence in what we do and the commitment we're providing to our employees. So then I think I'd like to change tack slightly and maybe we'll run another poll if we can, Zoe. And this time I think we're going to focus on values.
Absolutely.
So this is we've talked about, I guess, the amount of time that people intend, or maybe the next generation intend staying with a company. So the question here is, what percentage of younger workers would leave their employer whose values no longer match their own?
This is going to be interesting. Going back to our discussion about new generations, I think we shouldn't make any assumptions, really. I guess we have to if we're doing a poll.
Yeah, we don't want to prejudice the outcome, Zoe. We'll see what they say. Great. Look, again, clearly a very informed group this morning, Zoe. I think they clearly know all the answers. So the correct answer is 86%, as the majority have put in. And I think, whilst obviously it's not in the realms of 96%, 86% is a significant majority, and it shows just how important it is for a business to be forward thinking and have values they live by, because that is what ultimately will make employees or the next generation want to work for their company. So hugely important. So then I guess I probably, given how important it is, maybe if I can talk about Fintru's values, because we're very proud of our values, and Fintru's values we call them the 4 Ps. For those of you who studied marketing, the 4 Ps tend to be a concept. We've decided we're going to call them 4 Ps at Fintru as well. But Fintru's 4 P values are the lifeblood of our culture. But actually, they weren't designed by me. They actually were designed by our employees. We held a number of consultation sessions with our employees and said, what type of company would you like to work for? What values would you like this company to have? And ultimately, they came up with people, passion, partnership, and professionalism. Listen, I think passion really makes me smile, because I don't think passion is, you'd probably find in the Harvard Business Review, not saying Harvard Business Review isn't fantastic and all these, people and professionals are probably, you would find in a lot of companies. But again, I think partnership and this goes right across how we interact together, how we interact with the external world, how we support our charities, how we support maybe the less fortunate members of the communities, how we invest in our people, how we train our people, how we work with our clients. And everyone at Fintru is judged on their values as part of their 360 and their year-end reviews. Have they lived the values? It's great just to, it's very important to do your job, but also you need to go above and beyond and also live more. So we've addressed now the values. So now maybe I can talk about the committees and the importance of committees in Fintru. So Fintru has committees that support initiatives across the company and issues that are important to employees. Our current committees are the BAME committee, which actually we launched last year because obviously BAME became such an issue globally and was very important to our employees. We have an eco committee. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Women in finance, and I'm delighted to say we have some fantastic women working for Fintru with very ambitious careers. We have a charity committee. Our charity partner is Action Cancer, again, hugely important, selected by our employees in the cancer versus COVID debate. We have True Colors, which really supports our LGBTQ plus community, and again, hugely important. True Wellness, we're all on about being healthy, working together, and then we have a social committee because you know what, we like to have fun, and we're in the process of establishing a disability committee, and that will support these disabilities in the workplace, and that will come in the course of the next 6 months. And then with regards to the structure of the committees, each committee has a chair, secretary, budget. Very important to have a budget. We give them a certain amount of money. They have regular meetings. They have an executive sponsor. And then I think it's important to notice the personal and company benefits from having committees are it educates others on basically something that maybe matters to you. It gives people confidence in public speaking. It provides them with leadership opportunities. It nurtures an entrepreneurial spirit, and you know they spend their budget. They come up with new initiatives to engage people. Engagement is very important, both internally and externally. And then also it allows people to get involved in societal issues, whether it's inclusion, whether it's diversity, whether it's career progression, whether it's the environment, whatever matters to an individual, it allows them to express themselves within the realms of a committee. And then I'm delighted to say that not only has if you look at we've talked about our values, we talked about our committees, and we've actually been publicly recognized in many ways for winning several awards. So I think we're very, I guess, proud of that as well, that we've actually been quite successful in winning awards. And so Fintru is the only company in Northern Ireland on the FT and Sunday Times Fast Track, which I think is a phenomenal achievement. And these awards are public acknowledgement of how we continue to put our next generation of employees at the center of what we do. It's great to win awards such as, you know, the Business Success, Company of the Year, Global Player, Workplace of the Year. We've actually won several of these awards, 3 years in a row. So it's delighted. So then if I probably can conclude, because I know that Zoe has a couple of questions as well that we want to open up to all of you, because no matter how I love to hear my own voice, I'm sure that you'd probably like to interject with maybe some input from yourselves. So in conclusion, why should we invest in the next generation? And so investing in someone is far more than giving someone just a job. A job will take care of today, but it's a career that will look after the future. So as mentioned right at the beginning, Fintru lays out a very clear career path to all employees right from day one. In a competitive world for talent, and I think let's be honest, everywhere every newspaper we read and every website we read, we all hear about all companies are facing the great resignation. It is vital that employees feel they share the values of a company they work for. As you recall from the earlier polls I shared, a lot of, was it 28% of the next generation does not intend working for their employer longer than 5 years. In addition, it is vital for 86% of younger workers that they want to work for a company whose values match their own. So you need to make sure that values match, and also you give people that career path they want to stay with you. We all like to feel invested in, and if our employer invests in us, we will also give that extra back to the employer. Fintru is a new company, and we're less than 8 years old. So we are an entrepreneurial company. And as mentioned earlier, some of the benefits of the next generation is that they are adaptable, have high energy, and bring new perspectives. In essence, they are entrepreneurial. Also, for the next generation to lead in the future, they need to increase their knowledge and professional subject matter expertise. So commitment to such learning and development programs will give companies a competitive advantage. Fintru would not have been able to go from 1 employee to 1,000 in 8 years. Huge draw for new talent. So thank you all for listening. I hope I'm on time, Zoe, and I'm delighted to take any questions if required, and I hope that this has given some people an overview.
Yes, thank you so much, Darragh. And yes, impeccable timekeeping. Fantastic. Thank you. That was such an interesting presentation. Thank you. And it's certainly got all sorts of questions whirring in my mind, and we're getting them coming in from the audience. So one of our questions is from Edwina Morton, who's just interested in the kind of the financing of all this activity. I know you mentioned that the Department of the Economy in Northern Ireland, did you say? Has been supporting this. How does that sort of all tie together with your overall sort of costs of running the business?
Yeah, so the program I mentioned with regards to the academies is an initiative funded by the devolved government, the Department of the Economy in Northern Ireland, and it was a program that it was about retraining for the workplace that they copied, I mentioned, from the state of North Carolina, where a lot of people had maybe had degrees that weren't as relevant for the workplace, and they wouldn't have got into the workplace. So this is something, when they are in the academy in the regional college, with the lectures given by the universities, that is something that Fintru doesn't pay for. That's actually paid. They get a stipend, a kind of a training allowance. But once they join Fintru employs them as full-time employees, where we pay the salaries. And you know, for me, the big thing is we want everyone to succeed on these academies, and I think I've demonstrated the vast majority of everyone who comes on the academies ends up joining Fintru. But for some people, it's actually just not for them, and that's perfectly fine as well. So in some ways, it's like an extended pre-employment interview from both sides, with an ability to learn skills. And ultimately, I think how it pays itself back is we have paid, a huge multiple of that back already in tax and PAYE and national insurance contributions of those employees back. So it's a win-win. But I think it's a great initiative. And if there's other regions in the UK or elsewhere needs, I'm more than happy to give some more guidance on how it can be structured or supported.
How interesting! How interesting that you've managed to create all of this in Northern Ireland. And Hugh Purser was interested in whether COVID has had an effect, well, either way, detrimental or positive, on your operations. How have you managed?
So very good question, Hugh. So COVID has been obviously our war. Obviously, it's not as detrimental as maybe the war that our parents or grandchildren lived through, but it has really refocused our mind and readjusted everything we do. So COVID to Fintru actually has been, I don't want to say a success, because there's nothing successful about COVID, but Fintru, to put it in perspective, on the 31st or the 1st of January 2020, Fintru had 392 employees. We have 1,000 employees today, so we are 2.5 times the size we were before coronavirus. So a couple of things that did happen was, we were not in the big center, we will say, in London or New York, but I think COVID allowed, well, if we actually had talented people just happened to live somewhere else, able to perform something, well, sure, that was cool. We actually had a lot of people where they actually had living accommodation where they were able to work from home. They weren't cramped in small apartments, and they had a good kind of broadband connection. We also were actually able to attract quite a lot of people back from big cities who maybe did have, a tube or a metro system, which, in kind of time of Corona didn't seem, as attractive. And also a lot of people just reassess what they do. And someone says, you know what, I like surfing, I like cycling, I like playing golf, I like being with my kids, I like, looking after my parents, whatever. So I think a lot of people reassess their lifestyle questions, and Fintru put it front and center of addressing. So our response to people was, your preference is our preference. So we still don't have people back in the office, Hugh, and we're planning for hopefully as many as want to come back, from Easter. But I think it just opened up a whole degree of flexibility, and a lot of our clients as well embraced, cloud-based, data sharing that wouldn't have worked before. So I think the world has changed. Fintru, with its agility, embraced that change very quickly, and I think it gave us a competitive edge. And we continue to see huge demand for our services, and we're now building a very big technology, kind of part of our business as well, to automate it, ever increasing tasks. So it is, I don't want to say COVID has been good, because it's not good, but Fintru has done exceptionally well because we've adapted and been very agile.
How interesting. And I'm sure the sort of the extra space that you've got physically has made a big difference to people feeling comfortable, and that's
Yeah.
probably helped. You also mentioned, Darragh, the influence of Morgan Stanley on your career. What was it that shaped your thoughts on learning and development as you went through their programs and your career with them?
Yeah, so look, I've had two careers. I worked at Morgan Stanley, which is my big bank, and I've done Fintru, which is I can't call it my small bank, but my small company. So I've done the big company and the entrepreneur. And look, Morgan Stanley was a wonderful company to work for, and it's still a wonderful company. And I was I guess everything that I'm trying to emulate at Fintru now was what I learned at Morgan Stanley when Morgan Stanley was a smaller company. And also I came through my career and I was given great support in my personal learning and development. I was given, the whole concept of the push and pull I mentioned. That was something I learned at from Morgan Stanley, and I was pulled along by some of my managers. I was encouraged to develop myself. I was encouraged to work in different offices. I was encouraged to take on new tasks, and ultimately, everything that I learned for myself as obviously I'm not a millennial, so I have to learn to adapt and think. But I have millennial children, so that's probably keeps me in tune. But I know myself that a lot of those attributes we mentioned on the next generation about adaptability, desire for new knowledge, technical affinity, that all applied to me to some degree when I was younger as well. So I'm in some way trying to emulate what I learned at Morgan Stanley, the platform I was given at Morgan Stanley, and really tap into the zeitgeist of this next generation and in how to build these companies with values they want, with ability to be on committees on issues that matter to them, but also give them a career path to succeed and win awards. Like when we do stuff like win awards as black tie, our people love to go out and they have fun and they dance and God forbid, think of those days, right? It's great. So I think that experience at Morgan Stanley was great for me, and I'm trying to emulate it.
Yeah, wonderful. And we've had a question from Kenneth Yons, who's trying to understand how you bring together young people who are sort of probably quite ambitious, maybe aspire to developing their own careers, hopefully do aspire to developing their own careers, the kind of individualistic culture, Western culture, and how you marry that with the team building spirit that you're trying to create within your company.
So look, very good question. Look, the as I think I mentioned earlier, one big thing that we spend an awful lot of time at Fintru as well is also investing in management capabilities. So people need to have someone that they are managed by. So actually today we have a managing at Fintru course with 37 managers on it, and we do a number of these initiatives during the year and I think if we have managers who can harness the talent of these precocious, wonderful people and give them a clear path on which to build on, I think it's super important. So we are all stronger together, and I think if we all accept that, and so we have the Fintru behavior. So we play on the word Fintru. So F stands for fun. Go figure. I think you figured that out the way up, right? But T stands for team, but win as team. So we want to win, but we win as a team. But U, big U, stands for you. So be unique. And we're all on about everybody is unique, but we are a team. And only by working together as a team, and we create that team environment. And again, if we come back to the push and pull, if the CEO is happy to be pushed aside, if someone's better than the CEO, so again, there's no limit to people's talent. But coming back to the career path issue, there are guardrails, and you do need to spend a certain amount of time in a grade to gain the requisite amount of experience. And I think if we treat people like the adults they are and want to be treated, and they respect, you need to walk before you can crawl, before you can run. But when they can run, they will run in the Olympics, right? I mean, we will not hold them back.
On that subject, how do you identify who your star performers are, and how do you develop a fast track program that hopefully keeps those people with you?
So we have a true potential program, which we've done for our fast track people. We also have and many of you in managerial positions will love this. We have ratings calibrations. We have a 1 to 5 scale, and we have we had a 1 to 4 scale, and we had a 1 to 5 scale, and then we decided to get rid of it, and it was a fashion to get rid of it, and then we brought it back in. But we have a rating system, and we have a ratings calibration, and we look to have a normal distribution of ratings, and we make sure as well that as people progress through the organization, your rating is never constant. So you might have been a 1 or 2 at a certain level, you get promoted, you might then become a 3 because you're now operating at a slightly higher level, and then it may take you time to get back up to 1 and 2. But again, it's all about giving people a very clear career path, what they need to do, how they need to get there. And I think by giving that clarity, people know. And then also we also celebrate success. We get people who've been through it, who maybe got that promotion, to speak with others and mentor and say, okay, this is what you need to do. So it's really about creating an ecosystem of success. And we have a vision at Fintru. So our vision is inspire global trust in tomorrow. And that's kind of the vision we all want to live by. And we describe Fintru as a rocket, and we're going to the moon, and we're all on board having fun.
Sounds great. And also you mentioned in your presentation the entrepreneurial spirit, and how much of that do you think is born and how much is made? Do you notice it in some of the young people who come to you more than in others?
So the entrepreneurs born or made is a question way above my pay grade, Zoe. I think I could write a multi-million selling book on Amazon or something if I knew that. So I do believe that we all have some degree of entrepreneurial spirit in us, and some of it is, sometimes it's more evident than others, and some people maybe want to take more risks or want to get involved, but I do think encouraging whatever entrepreneurial spirit people do have, either accentuating they have a lot or encouraging the little they have, I think does give Fintru an edge. And I think it's super important, and it's everything to do with creating the type of company people want to work for, the type of people company want to work with. It also feeds into our clients. We talk about having client intimacy, that we will do everything for our clients. And so there's a gentleman called Jeff Bezos, who you may have heard of, and he wrote a book called Bezonomics. And I'm not so bold as to compare Fintru to Amazon, but the basic premise of Amazon is that every client, and we're all, I think, probably guilty of signing up to Amazon Prime, every client wants everything faster, cheaper, better quality, and perpetuity, right? We all think we should click on our whatever we ordered arrives, right? And I can see them delivering cappuccinos on drones before long because we're too lazy to go to the coffee shop. But that's where Amazon is going, and that's where Fintra wants to go as well in the financial regulation. We want to be able to deliver everything faster, cheaper, better quality, and perpetuity for our clients. And to do that, we need to be continuously innovating, being an entrepreneur. So actually, we've done something very interesting this year, Zoe. We've announced a partnership with Catalyst Inc., which is a Northern Ireland science park, where they have a co-founders program, and we've actually taken 7 places for Fintru employees. So we ran an innovation competition, and it was a random selection, but we put 7 employees through a co-founders program. So they might actually leave Fintru. They might actually come up with a program, a job, an idea that's wonderful. They want to set up a new company. But that's cool. I'm like, then we'll create 7 companies, and if they don't leave, they'll come back to Fintru, and they will have explored their entrepreneurial, innovative side, and they'll come back and do their job better. And I think you need to embrace that. You need to embrace entrepreneurship, innovation. You need to embrace talented people who want more, and you need to always back yourself that you're good enough to give it to them, and they want to work with you. And if they leave, that's cool as well. They leave as friends, and they might be your suppliers. You might buy them in time, they might buy you, who knows, right? It just creates a wonderful ecosystem.
That's very interesting, Darragh, and it's something that I was quite interested in terms of technology into your core foundation training. So in addition to obviously these amazing opportunities that you're giving people to go outside and train within other companies, how do you kind of create that baseline of technological understanding within your teams?
Yeah, so again, so everyone, we have a number of products. I think, as you mentioned earlier, Zoe, probably our biggest one is Know Your Customer, anti-money laundering, financial crime. It's very very popular today and well aware. So everyone who works in a product, and I think I mentioned we have dedicated product trainers. So depending if you were a product in our KYC area, or if you're an analyst in our KYC area, you will expect it to have done a certain number of internal courses, a certain number of external courses. If you're an associate, likewise. If you're a senior associate, likewise. And actually, we have what we call the Fintru DNA, which is our learning and development portal, and everybody at every level in the organization can go in and see what type of L&D they should have done, or CPD they should have done. What are the options? And then they can pick and choose from a menu, and we will support them. But that really feeds into the technical skills, and hopefully they can then move up the food chain. And I think I mentioned in my remarks as well, it has actually been very successful with our clients, because our clients know that a given level Fintru person in a product has a certain level of technical skills. And you're right, it's, whilst all the other stuff is wonderful, we also need to do a job, and we need to have a certain technical competence and skill level, and that's something we invest an awful lot in. And again, coming back to the next generation, it is very important to them. And whilst salary and benefits are very important as well, the commitment to training and development and furthering them is very important, and we put that front and center of our offering.
Sounds amazing, Darragh. Well, it makes me want to sign up and become a recruit. We all get such great training.
More than happy, Zoe. We'd love to have you.
Thank you very much. That's wonderful. Well, I think that's kind of wrapping up our Q&A, but it's been absolutely fascinating. I could talk for hours and ask you so many different questions, Darragh. What a well thought through and incredibly highly structured program, but with the ability for people to contribute their ideas, to join committees, to actually help move things on and redefine the values and the priorities of the program. It sounds incredible. Just moving on, I'd like to thank again our speakers, our sponsors, who have always been with us throughout this process, and are always supporting us with all our different topics, which I do hope that you find interesting. And finally, I would like to thank Darragh for such an interesting insight into how you have developed your program and the benefits that it's giving all the young people that you're helping and mentoring. So just a quick peek at forthcoming events. We're covering AI, trade, innovation and national interests across the world, and competition law. So again, a typically diverse set of talks from the Financial Services Club. So thank you all. Thank you to our speaker and to you, our audience, for listening and contributing all your wonderful questions. And we hope to see you again soon. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Perfect. Thanks very much, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.